Welcome to Hero Club. I'm Nick Williams.
And I am George Primavera.
George and I have been playing D&D together for years.
Now, a lot of people think you need to be a big, huge nerd boy to play Dungeons & Dragons.
But in reality, you just have to be willing to spend 4 hours of your own time on a weekday trashed on cheap beer cross-legged around a coffee table.
I lost a game of Flip Cup in 2012, so I had to buy all the books and learn how to be Dungeon Master. My dad was disappointed.
Yeah, he was. But after a game or two, we realized that it's actually a really fun and effective way to tell an awesome story.
Yeah, it's like long-form improv, but you kill more people.
Here's what you need to know. George creates a world and the framework for a cool story.
And the players, like Nick, create characters beforehand, all with special abilities, sometimes magical, sometimes not, and they adventure through the story as best they can, trying not to die.
We, the players, roll dice to see if our improvised actions fail or succeed, trying to beat a number in George's head that he promises he doesn't change at will.
But at the table, I am God, my game, my rules.
Okay, so it's as nerdy as you thought. You know what? Just fuck off, man.
Oh, okay.
Fuck right off,
all right,
okay?
Nick, maybe don't tell everybody to F off. And it's not that nerdy. I mean, we get rid of all that stupid math, and we add music and sound effects and stuff like that, so, you know, it's cool.
Anyway, these stories do follow a linear plot, so if you want to know what's going on, start at the beginning of any season you like and have fun with it.
Without further ado,
welcome to Hero Club! Yeah!
Proverbs 17:17. A friend loves at all times, and a brother is born for adversity.
the buzzing of flies seems to constantly crescendo as Heather straightens herself, standing up from Dashiell's body, eyes that are not her own glaring greedily at Elias. It's in this moment of anticipation that you start to truly understand the time that you've lost. Just based on how you feel, you can tell that you were clearly given the absolute minimum of food and water. Jeremiah, your beard has grown very scraggly and unkempt. Elias, you also feel some facial hair creeping out from the normally smooth skin. Dirt cakes all of your faces. Ember's hair swings greasily and tangled from her shoulders. And even Skillet looks way worse for wear, and the man is usually rather dirty to begin with. Old Blue is nowhere to be found. Lucifer, using Heather's mouth, speaks to the party.
What a blast, y'all. I mean, look at all these dead people. I gotta say, Mr. Elias, that's a fun little trick you got there. Explains how you got away from old Trunk. You know, I owe y'all a thank you. Really, thank y'all so much. Thank you. This has been very informative. And I appreciate both your compliance and your help. Gonna go over some notes and see if I can't fix that little problem. You know, the one where you banish my pups to hell. In all seriousness, I think we got off on the wrong foot before. Really, I'm actually here with something much more pleasant. I'd like to formally invite you to come down to the ceremony. Because I'm going to be honest with you, specifically you, Mr. Elias. Look at me when I'm talking to you. Thanks, Mr. Elias. I want to use you. It's fun. I feel like with the power you've got, you know, that connection to the big man, you could really make the whole shindig something special. Now, don't you look at me like that. What is that face? You look like you want to say no. Now that's fun. And it's funny because that's not really an option. And it's rather impolite, if I'm being entirely honest. So let me break this down for you. I already got one poor preacher. I mean, don't take offense at that either, obviously. You are my first choice. So this thing is gonna go down whether you join or not. So, yeah, as I said before, you don't really have a choice in the matter. Now, I know I wasted some of your time up here, and I apologize deeply for that. 2 weeks is a lot. I just figured if you couldn't kick poor little Dashiell's ass, you weren't worth the time. He was a good boy, though. loyal, hard worker, hypnotized a bunch of people, kill themselves. I mean, do any of these sound like qualities you got? Do you wanna, I got a job opening. Literally, just open up. No, too soon. All right. No sense of humor, I see. Anyway, I don't want you to miss this, so I'm gonna send Theodosia, and she's gonna pick y'all up. I think the Colorado River is closest, so you just head down there and. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. How embarrassing. Heather's still technically in here, and she's figuring out it's about time for me to collect on our deal. I help her with her daddy issues, get back at her father for abusing her and all that whoop-de-doo, and she's gonna let my projected self shack up with her, sign her soul away, etc., blah, blah, blah. Sorry, you gotta hear this. It's hilarious. One second. Y'all have to help, please. Mr. Elias, please. Please, Mr. Elias, please forgive me. I made a mistake. I really didn't mean to do this. Can you please help? That's funny, isn't it? Oh, Mr. Elias, forgive me. Well, anyway, I guess I'll be seeing y'all soon. Yeah?
Lucifer looks around for a moment. Everybody's mouths are agape. Lucifer shrugs Heather's shoulders. And in an instant, her head turns around 180 degrees. Then her knees buckle, and she pitches forward into the sand, face up towards the sun.
Alas, what was she talking? 2 weeks? 2 weeks? Wait, are you saying we were unconscious for 2 weeks? What the fuck is happening here, alas?
I felt like I was in control. I felt like it was seconds, and I prayed and touched you, and then all of a sudden, this.
Jeremiah holds his head and just kind of paces back and forth, muttering to himself. 2 weeks, 2 fucking weeks. Are you fucking kidding me? 2 weeks. Holy shit.
Ember, with a look of utter disbelief still on her face, goes over to Skillet and tries to revive him. Skillet, as she gently shakes his shoulders. Skillet!
Have at thee, you troglodytes! I'll take you on 2 at a time!
No, it's all right. It's just me.
But the man...
He's gone. Everyone's gone. But you missed a lot of shit.
Is the baby all right?
I'm holding him, Skillet. He's right here.
Oh, thank goodness.
Skillet, where's old Blue?
I know, Mr. Finch. He was with me when they came to take me.
On cue, from within one of the buildings, you hear a long, desperate howl.
Old Blue, hang in there, buddy, I'm coming. Jeremiah runs over to the door of the building and kicks the door in.
The door busts open, dust floats by, getting caught in some of the sunbeams that now leak into the room, and you get a glimpse of just about 10 feet in front of you. You do see Old Blue, who immediately runs up to you, begins wrapping himself around your legs, so happy to be reunited with you. But in the room, you see piles and piles of clothing, belongings, clearly from everybody who has passed through this town.
Hey, old Blue, old buddy, old pal. Good to see you again. Jeremiah gives him a long pet and then starts looking around the room for his belongings.
Make an investigation check for me.
18.
It takes you about 5 minutes, but your stuff is mostly on top of this massive pile of belongings.
Jeremiah eagerly changes into a new outfit. Get these dirty old shit rags off of me. You can't put Jeremiah Finch in a potato sack, you sons of bitches. I swear to God. He puts on a still pristine blue-checked linen suit, pops his hat on, and reholsters all of his various firearms. Oh, that's better. That is better.
Just before you turn to leave the room, Jeremiah, your eyes catch your reflection in an old dusty mirror. You see your disgusting unkempt beard, your cheeks are sallow and sunken in, and even though you do feel a little better being back in your normal garb, physically, you look like a shadow of yourself.
Jeremiah shudders at his own reflection and soldiers on. Your belongings are all in here if you want them.
What about the mules? What about our horses?
You just focus on getting your effects, Miss Ember. I'll go find the mules and see if I can't rustle up some food in this here town. If you don't mind me saying, the three of you look rougher than an armadillo's asshole.
He scuttles off.
Skillet hobbles back and takes the baby from Ember, and I'll take him.
As Skillet turns to walk away, Ember yells after him, "We can start calling him Jeremiah Jr. I'm pretty sure Jeremiah's thrilled with it."
In place of his usual eloquent interjection, Jeremiah just throws up a hand and continues on his business.
And Ember stalks off into the building to go retrieve her effects.
Elias, weak, falls to his knees by Heather's body and begins to pray, casting gentle repose. Lord, I know this lost lamb is beyond your reach, but let this body be untouched by him again. We are weak and malnourished. 2 weeks have gone by, and I do not know what to do. If only we had some food to eat and water to drink, we could become somewhat human again. Start acting normal, like. And all of a sudden, in front of Elias, appears a feast of food, as through him God casts create food and water. Oh, blessed be. I guess you're there. And Elias starts chowing down.
Skillet rounds the corner of a building in the cart. He has hooked up Bordeaux and Runaway, and he stops and hops off. Had to hook y'all's horses up because the mules are dead. Thought about making a meal of them, but that meat is long since turned. We're in luck, though. And Skillet whips out a skewer with 2 scorpions on it. We'll have to share. And then Skillet's eye is drawn to the spread of food laid before Lions. Oh, well, never mind. And he hobbles over, crumbling a scorpion over a piece of bread, which he tucks into.
Jeremiah finishes fastening all of his various belts and bandoliers and silently walks over and sits down on the ground to eat some bread and fish.
Ember walks back out of the building, fully dressed in all her regalia, and immediately starts eating.
The meal on the ground progresses for about 2 minutes. The flies continue to buzz. Bodies surround you, but the 4 of you collectively fight through the smell in order to fill your stomachs. You are absolutely ravenous.
You know, once we're clear of this barren hellscape, if either of the gentlemen or you, Miss Ember, would like any personal grooming done, I did briefly have a career as a barber.
Of course you did, Skillet.
I believe I'll take you up on that offer, Mr. Skillet.
Sure thing, Mr. Finch.
Elias stands, dusts himself off. Well, God has given us a wonderful bounty, and I believe I will go find my stuff now. I've been in this potato sack for far too long. And walks off to the building.
While Elias is gone, Ember goes over to the water pitcher and begins to delicately dole out handfuls that she slowly uses to wash all the accumulated grime and dust off of her face and hair.
Jeremiah silently follows suit.
Elias returns, having found all of his effects. Mr. Skillet, where did you find those horses?
Just round the back of yon building over there. And Skillet points at yon building.
Elias goes.
Skillet calls after Elias, "Watch out for scorpions!"
Elias, as you round the corner following the hoof prints the opposite direction, you find a small stable with several stalls empty. You see to the side of it the 2 mules that were previously pulling your cart, stacked up on top of each other. They've clearly been decaying for about a week and a half, but in one of the stalls, a very tall, muscular, dark horse stands silently, eerily still, and stares daggers at you.
Well, hey there. I'm going on a journey. Maybe you'd like to come along with me? Elias walks slowly with both arms extended forward, as if to calm.
The stallion leans its head forward. As it breaches the shade, you see that this fur is as black as night, the eyes correlating in the same color, and it calmly sniffs the air around your outstretched hand. Make an animal handling check for me.
22.
The horse is hesitant for a moment, and finally allows Elias's hand to rest against its snout. Hanging up on the wall behind the horse, you see a very expensive-looking saddle embossed with 2 golden letters, D.C.
A horse like you doesn't deserve a mean owner like that, now does he?
Your eyes peer over to the horse's rump, and you see lots of scars where it's been struck.
How about this? You ride with me, and any way we can, we'll make 'em pay for that.
How's that sound?
Elias slowly starts to ready the horse for a ride.
The horse seems to stumble forward for a moment and ultimately calms.
Elias gets on.
Well, you know what, bud? Let's use their names against them, right? Come on, Dash. Let's go.
Elias brings the newly christened Dash around the corner.
Well, cover me in honey and call me a pig.
Hi!
The horse kicks up its front legs in sort of an epic stance, but Elias, barely able to hold on, has his back legs slide off and has to crawl back up onto the horse awkwardly.
Oh, okay. Woo! Oh, let's figure this out.
Jeremiah, defeated, goes and sits in the cart with Old Blue.
Old Blue, calm for probably the first time in a while, falls asleep immediately.
A million miles away, mentally, Jeremiah just kind of absentmindedly pets Old Blue and stares off into the middle distance.
Ember hops onto the front of the cart and grabs the reins, and slowly lowers her head and closes her eyes for a moment, and quietly to herself mutters, "Rest in peace, Samantha and Eugene. You didn't need to be dragged into all this," and gives a delicate crack of the reins.
Skillet, already putting the past 2 weeks behind him, hops up into the cart and plops the baby down next to him.
The cart trundles off, Elias atop Dash taking up the rear. The grisly ambience fades into the distance as the party leaves the village behind them.
All right, anyone got an idea of where we're gonna go?
Colorado River. That's where we're going.
Might as well.
Jeremiah, you still got that fancy bullet that weird, Englishman gave you, right?
Jeremiah silently unfastens a button on his jacket, pulls out the bullet, holds it up, and puts it back.
All right, let's go.
Elias rides up beside the cart to talk to Jeremiah.
Mr. Finch, after what we've been through and what we've seen, I'm letting you off the leash. I won't question you no more. I can see now God needs a warrior like you, because what we're up against is worse than anything you've ever done. So when you get a chance, you put that bullet right through his head, and I will cheer. I'm sorry I judged you.
No, Mr. Craig, I do believe it is I who owes you an apology. I misjudged you. You saved my life back there. I'll be perfectly honest and say that I've seen some things in the last couple days that have shattered me to my very core. But you are a great man, and you have earned my loyalty, no matter what the cost.
Amber, you were fighting these things while I was sitting reading a book. So, whatever you feel's right, I follow you.
A slow smile begins to spread across Ember's face. Hey, you finally got my name right.
After about 6 hours of travel, at about the halfway point between the village and the Colorado River, you see a cart approaching you from the distance. This is a covered wagon. It's clearly got some years on it, and it's being pulled by two very tired-looking horses. As you approach and the wagons are about to pass, a man who is sitting on top gives you a wave and signals for you to stop. Excuse me, folks, you wouldn't happen to have any spare water, would you? It would appear I've run out.
Ember turns around and looks at the massive water jug that they're carrying in their cart, begins to slow down the horses while saying, "Sure, I think we could help you out with that," and pulls up alongside the man's cart.
Relieved, he hops down, settles his horses for a moment, and then with a very tired expression, walks up to the cart.
Skillet taps the water jug, filling a cup with water, and hands it to the man.
Oh, thank you kindly, sir. I appreciate that.
If you don't mind my asking, you don't sound like you're from around here.
Oh, yeah, well, I see you've noticed my accent. Moved out here a couple of years ago, but, the Wild West is just a little too wild for me, I think. Can you all make an insight check for me?
6.
5.
20.
Ember and Jeremiah remain completely oblivious to this, but Elias, you notice the man choke back tears. Can you roll an investigation check for me, Elias?
10.
As the man reaches out to grab the cup of water, you notice a tan line on his ring finger.
I see that you've had some troubles.
Oh yeah, just a few.
If there's a void of love in your heart, there's no love like God's love. It's all around us.
Jeremiah perks up just a little bit. Void of love in your heart. Well, I've heard of a remedy for that. Sir, have you ever wanted to be a father?
Skillet, knowing where Jeremiah is going with this, has already started to hold out the baby.
Well, I was a father for a time. I guess I'm not anymore. The man's jaw clenches as he again appears to fight back tears.
Well, you know what they say, when God closes a door, he opens a window.
Just for your tone, Jeremiah, make a persuasion check.
10.
This sort of upsets the man a little bit. Well, if that's true, then I guess I'm in a room with a lot of natural light and no way out. A single tear rolls down the man's cheek. Thanks for the water, folks. I guess I'll be on my way. He hops back up onto the cart, and you look into the wagon, and you see tons of furniture and basic homemaking appliances such as pots, pans, an old wardrobe. This man has clearly packed up his entire livelihood and appears to be headed eastward.
Sir, especially in these times, the West is a horrible place for a good man. You seem a good man. How about, for one last goodbye of hospitality, we have our good friend Mr. Skillet here make you a pie. Stay with us a night. Tell us about yourself, and I'll pray for you, and God will have you on your way.
Roll a persuasion check for me.
16.
A pie, huh? He looks off into the distance, clearly a bit impatient to get out of this hellhole, but ultimately resigns himself. Sure, I guess I could use the rest. Is this an okay place to camp? I don't do much outdoor camping. I had a cabin a while back, and that was the only place I ever laid my head.
Now's as good a spot as any, sir. Skillet hops down and starts unloading the wagon.
Camp gets set up rather quickly. The moon above is uncharacteristically bright, and despite everything that's happened in the past few days or weeks, the attitude around the fire is a little more relaxed and almost jovial as the man finishes one of his wild tales from his time living in the West. And my wife, God bless her, said something to the effect of, "Honey, you are an actor. You don't know anything about cattle." Well, I had to try to prove her wrong, and obviously, she was right. She's always right.
Well, don't sell yourself short there, mister. Having trumped the boards as a thespian myself, it ain't too easy a job neither.
Well, my wife always called me an actor. I would consider myself more of a street performer, honestly.
Well, it's important to have that balance of cattle ranchers and storytellers. You don't have an act that you could perform for us right now, do you?
No, I sure don't.
You wouldn't happen to be one of them fellas that paints himself all copper and stands still all day like a statue?
Oh, no. My thing was more close-up magic on the street. With decks of cards and such.
No kidding. I've actually dabbled in a little bit of that myself. And Jeremiah produces a large silver dollar from the man's ear.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, you can take that back. I stole it from your pocket.
Oh, I don't think I want this one. It's been in your mouth. And Jeremiah chokes for a second.
He looks down at his hands and realizes that he's no longer holding the silver dollar before reaching into his mouth and pulling the same one out, astonished. Now that is a fine piece of trickery.
Thanks. You can keep the coin. It really has been in your mouth.
Well, don't mind if I do. And Jeremiah pockets it.
Well, you have all been very, very kind. I know it's late, but I am hoping to make a train back out east, so I think I do need to depart, even though it is awful dark outside.
Understandable, sir. But before you go, I just wanted to know, hearing stories about where you're from and what you've done, might be some nice families around your parts.
Oh, sure. I have lots of neighbors back home. To be honest, the only reason I moved out here was I wanted to make maybe a little more money for my family, but obviously I don't have to worry about my finances anymore, so might as well return home.
Of course. It's just you have to understand our predicament. See, we found this child in a town, well, in the midst of a massacre, to be frank. And where we're going, as you said, the Wild Wild West is it's mighty dangerous. And we've taken this child to hell and back. It doesn't deserve that. We need to find a place for him, our little JJ.
JJ? Oh, well, let me see the little guy. He moves over, picks the child up. The child stirs awake a little bit and giggles just a small little laugh.
Careful. He's a charmer.
He stares into the baby's eyes and immediately falls in love. He cradles it in silence for a moment. So what you're propositioning is that I take this baby back to New York?
If you'd like to, I think that this child would have a pretty good father.
The man looks back at his cart. Well, if I sold some of the stuff that I have, I could probably be able to Yeah, and then I think I can take care of this kid for you. He looks at the ragtag group around the fire, and you folks have been awful kind to me, but no offense to you when I say this, I think maybe you haven't had any experience raising children, any of you?
No.
Yeah, well, that's what I thought. Sure, I'll take him.
Sir, you couldn't possibly know just how much of a weight that takes off of our shoulders. Thank you. And if you could somehow keep the name Jeremiah, we would all really appreciate that.
I don't know about that. He just doesn't look like a Jeremiah to me.
You see, this child would be dead without Jeremiah Finch. It's named after the man who saved his life.
How about I make a compromise with you? Middle name, Jeremiah.
Well, I'm just fine with that.
I think that's got a nice ring to it, you know. Dante Jeremiah Laporta.
The name of a great man to come. I have no doubt.
The man heads off with Dante Jeremiah cradled in his arms, gives you all a fond farewell, and as you all turn over to go to sleep, you hear the cart disappear into the distance. The next morning, travel resumes very quickly. Skillet whips up some of the coffee that the old couple gave you before their untimely demise. After a solid 9 hours on the road, the landscape begins to get less barren. You see some more trees, the grass gets a little more lush and green, and as you reach the crest of a tall hill, you start to make out the very faint sound of a symphony orchestra playing a very bombastic, excited tune. As you finally do crest the hill and look down into the town below, you see a crowd amassed outside of a very large government building. A full band playing conducted by a man, a large stage, and a small station on the side of the building where a photographer appears to be taking pictures up against the big white wall. As you roll into town, it would appear that the entire population is at least spectating this big event in the town square. And you also notice a small dock at which, floating in place, is a massive steamboat, lazily rocking as the river rolls by. Posted on every wall you can see around the dock and even further into town, handwritten flyers that read, Theodosia's Floating Casino, tickets $50. As the three of you read the posters, you notice lots of people dressed very fancily rolling by you, moving towards the town square as well. Well, I just hope they import their crab, because I couldn't possibly eat any shellfish they get out of this filthy river.
I'm wondering what kind of caviar they have. It better be the orange one.
You know, I believe the Japanese call that roe. The man of this duo accidentally shoulders Jeremiah from behind. If you don't mind, excuse me.
Jeremiah gives him a hearty shove in the chest.
Roll a strength check for me.
I botched.
Jeremiah, you don't realize how weak you've become from your 2 weeks of malnourishment, and you just sort of touch the man's chest, leaving a big, filthy handprint on his white, pristine jacket. Ah, what are you?
Jeremiah doesn't skip a beat and turns the weak touch into a tie fix so as to belittle the man. Your tie was crooked, sir. I just thought I'd fix it for you.
Roll an intimidation check for me.
21.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Come on, darling, let's go.
But darling, he just...
Let's just go. The man grabs his wife's hand and hurriedly rushes off.
Still got it.
Of course, the devil sends Theodosia a casino to come fetch us. Well, let's get these horses hitched up and go into this den of sin.
Now, don't look so glum, Mr. Elias. You ever been inside a den of sin? They're real fun.
A small stable boy runs up to you all.
Excuse me, y'all. You're looking to put your horses up? It's only $2 a horse for the whole day.
$2 is far too expensive, young lad. You'll take $1 each and you'll be happy about it.
Roll an intimidation check against this child.
16.
This little boy couldn't be more than 7 years old. Looks up into your eyes, Jeremiah.
My pa said if somebody were to haggle, I was to tell them to fuck off.
Your papa's a smart man.
$2, please.
Jeremiah reaches into his coin purse begrudgingly and throws the boy $6.
Well, thank you kindly, mister. Oh, and it's an extra $1 for the cart.
Jeremiah, just having put back his coin purse, goes back into his pocket, fishes it back out, and throws $1 at the kid. There you go, you little carpetbagger.
Would you like to feed your horses? 'Cause it's an extra $1 per horse if you'd like food and water.
My associate will pay that cost. Won't you, lass?
Yes, I will. Here's $3 extra, because that was hilarious.
Well, thank you kindly, sir. What's a hilarious?
Don't worry about it, Sugar. You just take good care of our horses, all right?
Will do.
Thank you kindly.
He takes the horses and the cart, very seamlessly seems to guide them all away down the street. And you hear him in the distance calling out to his friend.
Hey, Trevor. You would never believe how much money I just ramshackled over those folks.
Mr. Finch, I know I said no judgment from here on out, but did you just try to intimidate a child?
You know what? You're right. I do recall you saying no judgment from here on out. And Jeremiah stalks off towards the dock office.
Ember pats Elias on the shoulder and says, "Be gentle with him. He's a little fragile at the moment," and follows.
With a short rap on the window, a very dirty man wakes up from an apparently improvised bed situation on the floor, gives his head a little shake, and lifts a cage so that he may more clearly speak to you and interact with you.
Good afternoon or evening or whatever it might be.
Yes, sir. We are looking to purchase 3 tickets to the soiree on this riverboat casino here tonight.
All right, that'll be, let's see, $150.
See, your math seems a little off there. I believe it's $110.
Make a persuasion check for me.
15.
What? Well, you said 300? I'm 50. Wait, I'm too hungover for this. I'm confused.
Oh, well, you know, you carry the 1 and you drop the 3. Here's $110. Paid in full.
All right, 110. That's 3 tickets. Put you on the waiting list and let you know if anyone relinquishes their seats.
You're telling me that I paid $110 and I don't even have a guaranteed seat on the boat?
Yes, sir, you'll get your money back if the seats were money taken.
Well, I guess that's the best you can do. Thank you much.
The man takes a huge swig from a bottle, closes the cage, but you can still see very clearly into the office that he just gathers up some sheets and lays down in the corner.
Jeremiah walks back. Well, you owe me $150. We're on the waiting list for tonight.
Mr. Finch, aren't we far past owing each other? We're giving you all of our money.
It just seems only fair that I get reimbursed.
Well, it is a casino. Maybe we can win it back.
Well, there's a fine idea. Why don't y'all stake me for tonight so I can get my gambling done and you can settle up that reimbursement you owe. Assuming we get off the waiting list. Which I would say is incredibly doubtful given the nature of the man running the biz.
Well, we need to be on Theodosia.
I feel like if anyone's going to be the honored guests of this evening, it'll be us. There's no way we're not getting on this boat.
I hate to tell you this, Miss Ember, but we look like boiled over shit.
That's fair.
Well, what do you suggest, Mr. Finch?
Over in the town square, you hear somebody get up onto the stage and begin yelling to address the milling crowd.
All right, everybody. Everybody settle down. Your new mayor would like to have a word before we get this party started.
There's a little woo-hoo from the crowd as everybody gathers around the stage, and an enormously fat man hobbles up onto the stage, resting his hands just over his stomach, pulls out a pocket watch, and then gives a wink to the crowd.
Well, looks like it's just about time to party, everybody. Hold for laughs. I'd like to thank everybody here for voting me to be your new mayor. I promise that I will deliver on my big key points to get that sweet, sweet oil out of that earth and to kick those freeloading farmers off of our crude fields where they do not belong. I know all of you fine people will be at the party tonight. That you're all gonna be heading over to Theodosia's steamboat around 2 a.m. when it makes its departure. But in the meantime, everybody drink as much as you want, eat as many hors d'oeuvres as you can stomach, and rest assured that the Confederacy lives on in State Haven.
He gives 2 weak little waves and hobbles off the stage, patting his face with a handkerchief as he goes.
God, you knocked him dead. You really do. It's hot. It's too hot to be the mayor.
All right, everyone, let's all have a rousing cheer for Mayor Cornelius Butterworth, Esquire.
Well, since we are most definitely in the substratum of that waiting list, it would probably suit our needs best to steal 3 tickets off of some rich assholes. And right quick, too.
Well, you already marked one of them earlier. My guess is he'd be pretty easy to find again, and he seems like the type that would have a ticket onto this boat.
Equating caviar and roe, he's a perfect target.
As I said before, Mr. Finch, do what you must.
But first, we are going to need to rise to our surroundings. I'm going to take Skillet up on his offer of beautification. Mr. Skillet? Mr. Skillet? Where is that little man?
We cut to around a corner, Skillet desperately trying to catch a chicken who has stolen his hat. Get back here, you fucking son of a whore. Finally has done it and hurries back to the group. Somebody call me?
Mr. Skillet, retrieve your barber shears and fancify us up to your highest degree, sir.
Sure thing, Mr. Finch. Skillet hobbles off to the stable to get his barber kit from the cart.
Psst, hey you. Don't you want to be able to talk about all the awesome stuff that happens on Hero Club with all your friends? Well, tell your friends about us. And follow us on social media. Hi, everybody, it's George again. Make it so that we can keep making this podcast until the end of time. Trust us, nothing would make us happier. You can find us on our website at www.heroclubpodcast.com, on social media at Hero Club Podcast, or stream us anywhere you can listen to podcasts. Also, just a quick shout out to our brilliant friends over at the Mage Hand Press. If you want to make an awesome Wild West campaign setting for your players, then you have got to head over to their website at magehandpress.com. One more time, that's magehandpress.com. And then you got to download their Weird West D&D 5th edition supplement. And then use the code Adversary, ADVERSARY, to get 25% off. Whew! All right. Back to the show. The 3 of you follow Skillet towards the shed, and as you reach the edge, you in turn sit on the back of the cart, and Skillet makes you beautiful.
Mr. Finch, I think you'll appreciate this. Gave you an old Van Dyke just like in your old days. Here, take a look-see. And Skillet holds up a mirror to Jeremiah.
Jeremiah grabs the mirror and, while looking at himself, reaches into his pocket and pulls out the old wanted poster that he took off of Caraway and looks at the likeness. And it's pretty close. Well, fine work, Mr. Skillet.
Skillet follows suit with both Elias and Ember, neatening their hair, cleaning their face a bit.
Now, self-care, even for young men, ain't nothing to be ashamed of. We all deserve it.
Elias is now free of his peach fuzz, and his mud-caked hair is now light once again. He actually looks a little handsome.
For the first time, Ember has her hair up in a surprisingly delicate and refined hairstyle, very modern and fashionable for the time. Well, Skillet, this is maybe my favorite piece of work you've ever done.
As you walk back into the town square, you do pass a full barber shop, but it does appear to be rather busy, so you might have saved yourself some time with having Skillet take care of it all.
Well, I think I'm gonna have to get something else that matches my new eloquent do. And she looks down at her plain, filthy, mud, blood, dirt-encrusted clothes.
I was about to say, we need to up both of y'all's wardrobe if we're gonna fit in.
All right, Mr. Finch, but one thing. I'm keeping my collar.
I think I can still work with that. Come on, Miss Ember, let's get you a pretty dress.
Yay.
Mr. Finch! Mr. Finch! Skillet comes hobbling after the group. Hope you don't mind me digging through your personal effects, but if I have the right idea as to what the 3 of y'all are up to, you might want to take this piece with you. And Skillet hands Jeremiah a full tux with tails.
Thought I might be needing that. Have to get it taken in, though, by the tailor. I've lost about 20 pounds, I think. Jeremiah takes the 2 of them into the fanciest tailor shop in town, and speaking to the tailor in rapid sartorial jargon, begins to take various beautiful dresses and suits off of the shelves, and proceeds to shove Ember and Elias each into respective changing rooms. Now don't come out until you're nice and pretty, both of y'all.
Jeremiah, what have you dressed these two in?
Elias wears a very respectable black tuxedo with the white collar still intact over a black dress shirt, with a black top hat to match. Ember wears a deep maroon floor-length gown with a corset and bustle, black veiled hat, and elbow-length silk black gloves. He sets both of them up in front of a full-length mirror. Be honest, what do y'all think?
Mr. Finch, would I be wrong in saying that I look good?
Well, if it were me, I'd say damn good. What about you, Miss Ember? What's the verdict over there?
Growing up, my mama had to rustle up about 3 of her friends to try and put me in a dress. But damn it, Jeremiah, you did a fine job. And she glances back at the gigantic bustle behind her. And I think I know how we're gonna sneak Skillet onto that boat.
The ancient tailor hobbles over to Jeremiah.
Sir, here are your alterations. I hope you enjoy.
Thank you kindly, Emilio. And Jeremiah pops into a changing room, only to reemerge in his tuxedo, now finely altered to his body, a deep forest green with matching top hat and white gloves.
The three walk out of the tailor's and head off towards the party. It's very dark outside now, but a multitude of candles have created a beautiful outdoor festival feel, and people are moving over to tables covered in very nice tablecloths, gorging themselves on small, bite-sized hors d'oeuvres. The mayor is sitting, taking up 2 chairs with his enormous mass, just about comatose, with crumbs and full pieces of small sausage strewn across his body.
Oh, what a spread. What a spread for Mr. Mayor.
Off in the corner, the couple that you ran into earlier is still desperately trying to get the dirty handprint out of the man's jacket. Well, it won't come out, and I've done everything.
Darling, I don't know what to tell you, but we absolutely cannot be seen like this.
Well, I need a new one. I need a new jacket. You, sir, give me your jacket. The man walks up to a member of the staff, forcibly takes the jacket. The staff member looks a little perplexed, but ultimately resigns himself to giving up his coat and sadly walks away. The wealthy man throws the coat on. Well, that's better.
Slightly presentable.
Elias, you think you could lure those 2 rubes around that corner over there for me and Ember to relieve them of their ticket?
Well, it's not something I'd be great at, but I could do that since I'm not going to punch these people.
Good. That's the kind of raw confidence I like in a man. Miss Ember, let's steal ourselves around the corner of that haberdashery.
My bustle and I are right behind you.
As you're just about to head off, Jeremiah, you feel a hand grasp your shoulder.
Well, goodness gracious me, oh my, if it isn't my old pal, Jeremiah Finch. You look just dashing, don't you?
This hand spins you around, Jeremiah, and you come face to face with Byron Kane, also known as High Collar.
All the blood drains out of Jeremiah's face.
Byron is dressed in an all-white suit, white top hat, and white alligator shoes. The only thing of color on his person is an emerald that hangs from his neck. If you look closely, you'll see a skull engraved in the sharp green of this precious jewel. He's missing both pinkies, has a silver front tooth, and his most distinctive feature, a rope burn scar around the circumference of his long, sinewy neck. You seem a little perplexed to see me. Cat got your tongue?
Ember looks between the 2 men, kind of confused before settling on Jeremiah. Grandpa, do you know this man?
Can you roll a deception check for me?
19.
Yes, Grandpa, I believe introductions are in order.
Miss Ember, this is, former associate of mine, Byron High Collar Kane.
Former associate, that's rich.
What are you doing here, Byron? Last time I saw you, you were dead.
Oh, that's what you thought. That's what you hoped, Finch, but, let's just say that your supposed massacre of your former crew didn't quite go as planned. You see, I faked my injuries, cut myself. As you left the scene, I stood up and walked away unscathed, you piece of... Excuse me, I'd rather not swear in front of your granddaughter here. Never thought you were the type to marry, Jeremiah.
Well, as you can imagine, I'm very displeased to hear that, Byron.
Isn't it funny how we've run into each other in this little town? you doing whatever the hell you're doing and me making sure that big old mare over there doesn't choke on any chicken.
Oh, Byron, you've resorted to personal security work? That is beneath you.
I wonder if you would have said that the last time we were together. You know, the last time when you tried to, kill me. Leave me for dead.
Ember, you stare at these two men who seem to have created a tangible connection between their eyes. Their staring is so intense.
Jeremiah, would you mind sending your granddaughter away to grab us a couple soda pops so I could have a stern word with you, man to man?
Without breaking eye contact, Jeremiah says, Miss Ember, why don't you leave us to our business here? Go tend to your brother. I'm sure he is floundering with those rich folk.
Cutting back over to the wealthy couple, Elias is in the midst of a story that is going absolutely nowhere.
So as you can see, we were looking for a man with a dirty jacket and dirt all over himself, and we saw you ditch the jacket. So we just want to make sure that you are, and sorry, we just want to make sure that you do indeed have tickets. We have another man who claims that he is the person who is meant to be on this boat with a dirty jacket. Dirty, he looks awful. He's a man.
I'm sorry. Are you staff?
Well, I'm with the church. You see, we
Oh,
want...
look, darling, he's got one of those cute little collars.
Oh, that's so quaint.
Is blessings upon you two. You see, we have, we want... The church is also helping with this event. We want to make sure that the town is all a part of this. We think that God loves a good party himself and thinks that you have the right to this revelry. But you see, we have a dirty man around the corner, and we have some staff who are there.
I'm sorry, I drifted off 2 or 3 minutes ago. Honey, do you remember what he was saying?
Candidly, not at all. I was a little bit distracted.
She eyes Elias just a little bit seductively.
Your suit is very fine.
Oh!
Back with Jeremiah. Miss Ember, please.
She gives a curt nod and says, "Sure thing, Pappy," and turns around to go meet Elias at the ambush rendezvous.
Jeremiah, as Ember leaves, Byron gesticulates to a couple of chairs next to a table.
Why don't we go ahead and take a seat?
Jeremiah reluctantly pulls a chair back and sits down. Byron, I know we have prior business to attend to, and I swear it will be addressed. But I'm asking you now, as a former friend, please do not fuck up what I have going on here. It is bigger than both of us combined.
You know, there was a key word in that sentence there, Jeremiah. Key word, former friend. I feel like I don't have any obligation to you whatsoever. No courtesies are due. I'm gonna do what I like.
He reaches his hand into his coat pocket.
Jeremiah shoves the barrel of his previously drawn revolver into Byron's crotch underneath the table. You won't want to be reaching into your coat like that all sudden like. I can get mighty jumpy around former friends.
Without missing a beat, Byron mirrors Jeremiah's movements and shoves his barrel into his crotch.
Now, Jeremiah, we're both city men. We're men of society. There's no reason to resort to this type of violence. Instead, I've got a proposition for you, buddy.
Byron pulls out from his coat pocket a golden ticket marked Theodosia's casino boat, Admit 1.
Call it a wager with some very high stakes. Ooh!
Byron, I've known you a long time. Hell, we've probably played out every grift that there is. What's the catch?
You assume too much of me, friend. There's no catch at all. See, I was thinking that the two of us could... Well, boat leaves at 2. Why don't we meet up at, say, high moon? Guns drawn, and whoever leaves alive, well, they'll walk away with a golden ticket.
Byron, in a power move, holsters his gun.
Jeremiah follows suit. Well, it's called a date then.
A date it is, you filthy bastard.
Byron grits his teeth, bottling some of the anger that has now bubbled to the surface for the first time. His face settles, gets up slowly, straightens his jacket, and holds out his hand for a handshake.
You were right about that word, former. I will not touch your hand, you child-murdering bastard.
Byron smirks, drops his hand.
Enjoy the rest of the party there, Jerry. I'd go ahead and take a page out of Mr. Mayer's book and eat as much as you can.
He stalks away. Cutting back to Elias and the wealthy couple.
All right, you're gonna have to forgive me. I was sent here by the church to have a little fun ruse. We wanted it to be a surprise, but basically you've been chosen. The church was asked to sponsor 2 VIP tickets on the boat, and you 2 are the ones who've been chosen for a VIP experience. You're the God's chosen passengers.
Roll a deception check for me.
16.
No, why would you pick us? I've never once given money to the church.
Oh, but we love the church. We do. That just sounds incredible. Tell me more.
Well, you see, sir, it has nothing to do with your previous experience with the church. See, the church does good unto anyone.
They do. They really do. I think we should listen to him. Marjorie slowly reaches out to touch Elias's arm. I bet he could do very well by us, couldn't you?
Yes, it's a whole experience. It is fit with all of the caviar that you could want. You get a whole new a new suit and dress courtesy of the church.
Caviar? Do you mean the little orange ones?
Yes. In fact, the only orange caviar we have on board is specifically for our God's chosen passengers.
Oh, honey, they have the row.
Well, that does sound very nice. All right, how do we collect our winnings?
Come with me, VIPs such as yourself. You're going to be treated to a nice lounge before we get on the boat, so come along with me.
Gladly.
The 2 follow Elias as he brings them around the building.
Ember's waiting patiently around a corner, one hand hiking up the side of her skirt and the other holding the pommel of her dagger, ready to bring it down at a moment's notice.
Roll a stealth check with disadvantage for me, please, because of that bustle.
12.
The couple botches their perception check to notice you. They round the corner. Why would they keep the row behind a building?
It's very fancy, darling. It's all the rage in St. Louis.
Ember, striking like a snake, throws her arm around the woman's neck and brings the pommel of her dagger down upon the man's head.
Can you make an athletics check for me to grapple the woman and then an attack roll against the man?
20 to grapple.
Success, and then roll the attack?
23 to attack.
The man drops like a sack of potatoes. The woman is firmly in a headlock, gasping for air.
Ember waits.
As the woman begins to choke out and slowly lose consciousness, Ember pegs direct eye contact with Elias.
Once the woman's finally unconscious, Ember gives a light shrug and dumps her body on the ground and starts rummaging through their belongings for their tickets.
Oh, man. Okay. Whew. Oh, that woman was like a tiger. She was, I think she was flirting.
Ooh, did she make you feel some things, Elias?
I have never been more uncomfortable in my life. Can we please go?
Both roll investigation checks to find these tickets on their persons, potentially.
16.
12.
Ember finds both tickets in the woman's brassiere.
Yep, alright, wouldn't have even thought to look there.
Once you've seen 2, you've seen them all. Having found what they were looking for, Elias and Ember rejoin the party and head towards the bar.
Wait a second, where is Mr. Finch?
Well, he ran into an old acquaintance, and it did not seem like a very pleasant environment. Let's go rejoin the party, and maybe we can figure out what they've been up to.
Jeremiah is standing at the open bar. Bartender, pour me 3 fingers of bourbon whiskey and see that the rest of the hand don't wander too far off.
The bartender gives a nod, pours a drink, and leaves the bottle next to the glass.
Jeremiah downs it in one go and pours another one.
Elias and Ember appear behind Jeremiah.
There you are, Mr. Finch. We got 2 tickets.
Well, that's just dandy, Elias. I'm glad to see you rose to the occasion. And he downs his second drink.
Pappy, you didn't by any chance get some more insight as to how we're going to get this 3rd ticket that we still need?
Oh, I've got insight. I've got a bead right fucking on it. And by the way, I take offense to you calling me Pappy. I am not that old. And he downs his 3rd drink.
Well, I mean, I'm still shaking up, but couldn't we just do exactly what I just did to some 2 other people?
Well, it would be impolite to turn down an offer. You see, Elias, I ran into an old acquaintance of mine that I thought was long gone. bad man like myself. Now, at midnight, we're settling our affairs, and if I walk out of there, I'll have your third ticket.
Wait, you're going to duel this man?
That's right, and it's a duel a long time coming.
Mr. Finch, I do not like this. After all we've been through, you gonna throw your life away on a squabble?
Jeremiah wheels on Elias. Never presume again to understand my affairs. Now you said I was off the reins. Did you not? Did you not?
I did.
Then why don't you let me tend to my business in peace? Go preoccupy yourself with proselytizing to the aristocratic hordes and leave me be. And he pours himself a stiffer drink.
Elias, defeated, shrinks away.
Ember leans in a little closer and asks, "Where exactly are you meeting this man?"
Jeremiah looks down at a little piece of paper Byron passed him, opens it up. It reveals a sketch of a hilltop and a lone tree. Jeremiah then proceeds to look around and sees a hill with a single tree on top of it, just on the western outskirts of the town.
Jeremiah gestures with his glass towards the hill. If I were to wager a guess, it'll be over on that hill yonder.
Well, I didn't like the look of your friend, and I'm assuming there's some bad blood between y'all. So you do whatever you need to do, and we'll be there out of sight to make sure everything goes okay.
I knew you'd understand.
Sorry I called you Pappy.
Well, that's quite all right. I guess a little more gray has wormed its way into my whiskers than I care to admit.
It only makes you look more dignified.
The party continues on and eventually peters out. People go home, make their way over to the docks, and queue up in a line, even though the boat isn't set to load for another 2 hours. And midnight rolls around. Jeremiah makes his way to the top of the hill, designated by Byron, and waits. Ember and Elias watch from 100 or so feet off, not hiding, but maintaining a healthy distance. After some time, Jeremiah fiddling with his holster, kicking a little bit of dirt as he waits, Byron crests the top of the hill on the opposite side.
Byron hums as he approaches the site of the duel.
Byron's face catches a little bit of moonlight. He smiles, and the silver tooth in the front of his mouth glints a little bit, and the two are nose to nose.
Oh, Jerry, it sure is a pleasure to be in your company once again. And may I say that I sure do hope that this is the last time.
Well, in that regard, Byron, we can agree. Jeremiah pulls out a pewter hip flask full of bourbon. Care for a nightcap before we proceed?
Byron picks up the emerald necklace with the skull engraving on it and unscrews the top. He dips his finger inside and pulls out a bit of white powder and snorts it.
No, Jerry. This concoction will do me just fine.
Well, as the tailor said to the naked man,
suit your fucking self.
Jeremiah takes a long swig from the flask.
Byron takes another bump from his emerald.
Jerry, how many paces?
Well, I'll leave that choice up to you. You always were a crack shot with the pistol.
Well, how about let's do 5 paces? You know, for each member of our dearly departed crew.
Count 'em out.
The two men turn about face in unison, and Byron lists names as he takes paces.
1. Corbin Bug-Eye LeBeau. 2. Raul El Serpiente Gutierrez. 3. Samuel Smallman Stevenson. 4. Ezekiel Big Zeke Jackson. And 5. Jeremiah the Gentleman Finch.
2 bullets fly through the air. There's a moment as both men stand stock still.
22.
Suddenly, Byron stumbles back 1 step. Even in the moonlight, Jeremiah, you see red blossom from his chest, dyeing his white suit.
Oh! Would you look at that? You ruined my suit.
Jeremiah fires 3 more times, saying his own list of names as he does. The farmer's wife you brutalized. the farmer's little son and little daughter that you gutted like animals for the slaughter, and the farmer that you made watch. If I do have one regret, Byron, it isn't killing all of y'all. You were a pack of wild dogs, begging to be put down. No, what eats at me at night, old friend, is that I didn't do it soon enough.
Well, Jerry, that was always your problem, wasn't it? You couldn't do a damn thing.
Jeremiah stands still, silhouetted against the moonlight, the gun smoking, reaches into Byron's front pocket, pulls the ticket out, wipes the blood off on Byron's trousers, and walks back down the hill to meet Ember and Elias.
As Jeremiah walks down the hill, Elias and Ember can see that he has tears now running down his face. But before he reaches them, he wipes his face with his sleeve and pulls himself together and says, "Stupid son of a bitch should have stayed dead. Craps table's calling my name. Come on, y'all," and leads the way down towards the docks.
The three of you get up to the window, Ember and Elias in a little bit of awe, and as you reach the window, the line has moved very quickly. People are funneling onto the boat. It's about 12:15 a.m. The boat is set to leave in just over an hour and a half. The clerk in the office, still extremely hungover, takes your tickets.
Names?
Mr. Jeremiah Finch and Company.
Oh, you three. Oh, you don't need tickets. Theodosia's waiting for you.
The three share a look, and a moment that should be full of foreboding and gravitas is shattered by Skillet with 2 plates of chicken and some kind of roast popping up behind you.
Hello there, welcome guests. Skillet awkwardly hands each of them a plate of food. While this is my job, being a waiter aboard this here riverboat, I am also a valet, and I have just remembered that if you'll be wanting your horses further down the river, I would happily employ myself in moving them along with the boat and meeting y'all when you disembark. But I would also happily continue to be a waiter. I leave this choice in the hands of you three, strangers to me.
Yeah, sure, Skillet, why don't...
Who is Skillet?
Oh, Mr. Waiter, would you please take our horses downriver with you?
Skillet hobbles away, unaware at the lack of cover that he has provided himself.
And make sure Old Blue gets 3 squares a day. Jeremiah turns back to the ticket man, says, "Hey, come over here for a second. You got some kind of bug in your hair."
I do.
Jeremiah grabs the back of his head by his hair and slams his face into the table.
He drops unconscious.
Jeremiah then proceeds to empty the cash register.
You find about $700 in the till, and then you find lots of jewelry that was probably used to barter for tickets.
Woohoo! Pappy's off his leash.
Light bringer, light bringer, turn away, you great deceiver, light bringer.
This has been a Hero Club production. Produced by Nick Williams and George Primavera, with associate producers Marty Abby Schneider and Dylan McCollum. Voice acting by George Primavera, Nick Williams, Hannah Fagerbacke, Dylan McCollum, Henry Hall, Jackie Emerson, and Marty Abby Schneider. Theme song written by Matthew McCollum and performed by Hannah Fagerbacke. Special thanks to Kevin MacLeod and Henry Hall for their music, Noah North for that badass intro, and Marty Abby Schneider for his incredible artwork. Thanks for listening, and welcome to the club.
Think you're quick, you think you're wise.
Think you're on my level, let's roll them dice. Light bringer.
Ember waits.
Should we get that clean?
Ooh,
That's the dopest
no, that was
way to say
clean.
that. So cool. All right. Ember waits.